Welcome back to Parents Corner. Today we are back in the Beatitudes after our little detour to World Communion Sunday, and we are looking at the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 4, that says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And mourning is something that we don't usually like to discuss with our kids. And when they're crying, we do our best to help them stop crying, but many times we don't always get to the root cause of why they're crying. Obviously, if they've hurt themselves or something, we'll help clean their wounds and give them a band aid. But how many times do we help them to heal their emotional wounds? And maybe some of you are really good at this. Maybe not. I'm just finding that now I've got a 10-year-old and the drama is real. Oh my goodness, I was told boys weren't that bad, but the drama is real and there's a lot emotionally that he's dealing with. And our kids today, they face so many sources of emotional turmoil. They have the same stuff that we dealt with, but now they have so many of them have electronic devices and access to social media. They can't even retreat from this drama when they get home. And I know we all had our ways to connect with our friends when we were at home. I'm willing to bet that a lot of us remember being wrapped up almost in the in the long kitchen phone cord after spending 2 hours on the phone with our friends. But that's a whole different feeling than what it's like to just be constantly connected by social media, text, video games. I even know my kids will chat with each other over Roblox and Minecraft and stuff like that. And you know, there's just constant, constant, constant barrage. And we all know what it felt like when we were kids, what it was like to be excluded, maybe even what it was like to be bullied. And the sad reality is that our kids, as I said, they're bombarded with that 24/7 now. They get to see their exclusion firsthand in real time thanks to social media posts. And having all of those photos blasted at them as they're missing out is so much worse than just hearing people talking about it the next day or the next week at school. They get to witness firsthand how they're being excluded. And so our kids will mourn. And it's important for us to talk to them about mourning and to not put a stigma on it, because I think that we have a little bit of a stigma on what it means to mourn, what it means to be sad. And we're finally seeing some movement in the right direction regarding this, but I still remember hearing phrases like "real boys don't cry" or "stop crying" or "I'll give you before I give you something to cry about" kind of stuff. And I've heard jokes about girls and their out of control emotions and comments like, "Well, I know what time of month it is now." And thankfully we're moving away from these kinds of stereotypes. And I think that that's going to be way better for our kids. And so in this Sermon on the Mount, the Sermon of the Beatitudes, Jesus is telling us that mourning is not just okay, it's necessary. It's necessary to bring our sadness and our pain to God and to give a voice to that. Because the people who mourn will be blessed and comforted by God. God does not minimize the pain that we feel, no matter how insignificant it may seem. And we as parents can follow God's lead here. We can be there for our kids, even when they cry because, I remember last week, I think my boys were crying because they got water on a paper that they were going to write on. It wasn't even that big of a deal. We had another piece of paper. The piece of paper wasn't even that damaged. We could dry it off, but oh my goodness, you'd have thought that somebody chopped their leg off. It was just extreme drama. And it didn't, to me, I was like, really? You're crying over this? But I know I need to remind myself that this is a big deal to them and this is something that matters to them. And to acknowledge that, okay, let's find a way to make this better, to help you so that this doesn't hurt so much. And so we can listen to our kids and we can give them a place of comfort where they can find the healing that comes with the pain of life. And I think that that's a lot of what Jesus is talking about in this sermon when he says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted."